Mo'o is an enchanter, has to do with succession or a series, especially a genealogical line. Mo'oali'i, mo'ohihia, a series of difficulties and troubles. Mo'ohihia, yeah. Ho'omo'o, to follow a course, continue a procedure, a story, a tradition, a narrow strip of land, like a mo'oili, also called a mo'oaina. It is a small fragment of tapa not attached to the large piece. It is a tract, raised surface extending lengthwise between irrigation streamlets. It's a ridge as of a mountain, mo'omuku, a ridge that is cut off. It's mo'omuku. Mo'o is also a description of young, as of pigs, dogs, or a grandchild. Ku'umo'olei, my beloved grandchild. It is a brindled dog. It is a favorite sacrifice to the mo'o spirits. The brindled dog is also a kinolau for ku. A mo'oilio is a puppy. Mo'o is also referative to the side planks fitted to the middle section of each side of a canoe hull. And then there are all these mo'os. Mo'oala, which is the black lizard. What I like to refer to as the mo'oka'ala, that individual that carves the rock. There is a mo'okala'au, that is the lizard that carves the wood, that bites the wood. Mo'omakaula, mo'omakaula, mo'okiko, mo'oawe. And so all of these mo'os, and within all of these mo'os, there is the mo'olono. And what it says about the mo'olono, what they say about the mo'olono is, mo'olono is to hear a report, or an after report, or a succession of reports. Mo'olono, with a capital L, are priests of the lineage of Lono, devoted to the worship of Lono. So Mo'oku is likewise. So you would think that it's referative to a Mo'okane and Mo'okanalua. So back to Mo'okus. Why are we here to talk about Mo'okus? Because the last time we were here, we did talk about it. There was a discussion that there was not enough time for other people to get it. And it was at that time, at that ʻAha, that two kuki'is, the big ones, were brought back to Hawaii. One from Boston Museum, one from the British Museum in London. And it stood in, what do they call it? The kukalepa, yeah, which is an ark. And that hasn't occurred in, I guess, hundreds of years. And so him, myself, and Keawe, we were the ones with Kamana'o to go and escort the images back. And through that, we underwent a series of rites and rituals. So keeping with the lineage and the traditions of, were they exactly the rites and rituals? Were they exactly the prayers that they did 300 years ago? Paha. I'm not here to account for the ancestors' work. We're here to account for our work. And that being said, I want to go on to Kukuna and then to Keʻeaumoku because they have a really good feel for Moʻoku, the keeping of the traditions of ku, the keeping of that order today, based upon the historical accounts of our ancestors. So we have something old that we're building upon, something now, in the hopes of what we expect for tomorrow for people like you and you and you guys. 50, 40, 30, 40, 30, 30 somethings? 40 something. Okay. So 50, almost 50 and 40. So we're passing this thing on to those that are in their early 40s, 30s, 20s, and before. So with that, your description of a moʻoku.
Moʻoku, way back when Halimua Ukuli'i was getting together, and we decided to split up our ranks into mo'o. Each mo'o had to do a report, a paper, research to more or less get an understanding of what it meant to be mo'oku in particular. And the definition that Keawe and I, well, Keawe primarily wrote this definition that I remember, and I hui that all the time, is that ku is the god of positive aggression. You know, some people might say that's an oxymoron, positive aggression, but when you think about it, no, it's not. It's about positive incentive, positive motion, positive movement. And that's what I look at when I see a mo'oku, is somebody that sees that something needs to be done, thinks about the actions needed to be taken, ceremonies involved with it, and how to make everything pono. Take, for instance, ke kohua ukuli'i. What we're doing now is we're erecting a hale, which is going to cement us to that aina, and nobody else is going to be able to move in to that aina because we're there, and that's ours, and we take care of our ceremonies there. We have our vehe down there. We've had 2 vehe down there, vehe ku, which is the start of the kauwela season. And to me, it's all about making ku's presence, ku's activities known and carried on, because ku is the provider, ku is the farmer, ku is the carver. Anything that needs to be done for the aina, for the ohana, for the lahui, it's all taken care of, not solely through ku, but he is the motivator and the action.
Well, when Kalipuna was giving his description about me in the years of yesterday, sort of was a nightmarish feeling for me at the moment. But yeah, it was kind of a hard case back then. And what does it have with to do with this topic, and how I transcended from that element all the way down to where I am today? You know, I sat on a bunch of commissions, and I never felt that, you know, me as an individual to be sitting on all these different types of commissions, like the Maui County Cultural Resources Commission. I served on that for 5 years. I also previously, now today, serve as the Maui Lanai Island Borough Council. I'm the chair for the Maui Lanai Island Borough Council. And I still serve as the Native Hawaiian Historic Preservation Council and advisory to the Board of Trustees Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And it started to make me think, what does it have to do with our past, or kawakahiku on the things of the past of what occurred, to be steadfast? I've always been steadfast within my life, but had to find that balance within those areas as pertaining to trying to be perpetual as kanaka today, to make sure that we set out a precedence of identity for those things of the past. So now I find myself giving recommendations to all these different types of intrusive developments that is coming upon us and whether or not that's going to help benefit us. But using that element of the past, of that mo'oku to, consume within myself and the different types of things that we need to do out there to create an awareness within our communities, in our mokus. So back in 2007, we did this torch march on Maui, 7 days nonstop. We light the fires, rubbing the hau at the most important site for us, which is Moko'ula in Lahaina. And we lit it with the akaka bill. We lit it with the akaka bill. We lit this torch, 12 o'clock midnight, with the police, that element of walking the fires around island. And it took us 7 days to walk 291 miles nonstop, day and night, to bring the awareness within the community, saying that, hey, we got to rise up. We needed to go out there and do an assessment on, whether or not a lot of our people, whether or not they care or they don't care anymore. On the 7th day coming back into Lahaina, we had pretty close, almost 2,000 plus people. The mo'o was big. This mo'o was fat, was long, was law. And it told us that, okay, you know what? We're still here. We still need to rise up. We still need to do the pullets. We still need to do all these kinds of things. So I try to look at the past accomplishments of Keʻeaumoku Papa'i Ahiahi. And him always being the Kane, the champion of the Papamu. Always being one step ahead of everybody. So when I sit in my commissions, I normally hold 2 objects in my pocket just to remind me that this is the course that we need to take to, draw a question to everybody in the room as pertaining to what is your decision on which road you like to go. So I offer my people over here the decision of choosing either the black stone or the white one. Not the chicken. But it's important to have these kinds of elements in your hand because it's about moku. It's about knowing that, you know what, when you start getting confused and lost in a direction, by making sure that you give mana'o out there that can benefit not just yourself, but the people that you serve, then you gotta have these little reminders to say, hey, you know what, you're not in this on your own. If you're going to take up that stance to be a representative of the many out there, the multitudes, the generations, then we need these little things to remind us to say that we need to stay the course. All these different types of things, to me, what Mo'oku represents, why we go to Pukohola once a year. 363 days out of the year, we live in our pathetic societies. Then only for 4 days we get the opportunity to open up the heavens, to offer our whole kupu, to die on the battlefields, and to drink the waters of Kane and come back and live our pathetic lives all over again until we go back to Pukola every August. And that within itself, Pu'ukohola, Pakuia Lua, Pakuia Holo, that drove us in a direction of being that cool deity, to have that cool live within ourselves so we can be steadfast, so we can go forward, so we can holo more. Because it even brings a more awareness within ourselves that it's not just us, it's our next generation. What's going to happen to our kamali'i? If we don't make the necessities we need to right now as young kanaka, and we're getting old really fast, if we don't do what we need to do now, then we're going to leave all this pilikia with the next generations coming up. So that element of mo'oku, it's in my aina, it's in my hale, it's in my values, the values that I teach my kamali'i, my kids, my son. He's probably sleeping someplace. Oh yeah, look, I'm knocked out on the ground. But I'm really proud of my oldest because he's in the University of Hilo taking up anthropology. You know, those kinds of things that we gotta set our importance for it to make sure that our kamali can be driven in a direction to be the ones that are gonna be the workforce out there to make sure that everything is covered. You know, be it politics or be it, you know, in the educational background, we need more attorneys, yeah, we need doctors, yeah. We need the ones that can be the workforce that working because there's drastic changes that are happening to our environment. Hawaii wants to go green energy. What is the cost of green energy? What is the ultimate cost of green energy? If you look at the percentage of what we're going to gain, yeah, on getting away totally dependent from fossil fuels, what is the cost, the actual cost? How many more of that longevity things or the historics of our past we need to sacrifice in order for us to grow and be successful. And I know change is coming, but if you lose that ike of being that Moʻoku, then the next generation will really suffer. So, I take that highly. My commitment, which is basically to make sure that I stay the course, not just for my benefit, to make smart decisions, and you know, hopefully that I can infect the many generations out there. So when the time comes that they need to step in the shoes, at least we get brighter, stronger warriors to take our place. So, Malo.
So, as you can see, by actions, the assertiveness versus the aggressiveness of the individual and his professions and his establishments of his priesthood, of his order of Ku, by his Nākānelua. By his discussion of the ne'enu, the movement of Ku. In the Bible, the Jews recorded, I believe, 70 names of God under Yahweh. There are 72 attitudes of Ku. At the beginning of this ʻAha, they recanted for us all of those names. And if you look in those names, you will see that each of those names has a constructive energy. Ku ho'one'enu, ku ke'olo'ewa, ku I kalanawau. Yeah? Keeping that in mind, Dr. Kaholokula, can you expound upon that and to your level?
Sure, I could try. I just want to kind of, go off of what was said earlier by Kukuna and Keʻeaumoku and Nākānelua, but change is inevitable for society. We change throughout time. Pa'ao came here, changed us. We can change. The challenge is who determines the change, and most of the change that we've been under has been enforced from the outside. One of the big changes that were forced upon us began in 1820 at least, with the arrival of missionaries. And what happened was, in order to justify their existence and their reason for being here, they had to demonize our way of life, our culture, our akua. And one of them is Kanoloa, as we all know, became the devil all of a sudden, even though that was never the concept of Kanoloa. But then Ku, one of the other major akua, by the way, akua no equal God. The people that translated our language needed to put things into their worldview and told us, this is God. Akua is our ancestor that became greater than us. Akua does not equal God. Okay? But the idea that Ku is simply, it was handed down to us, and then when we talk to older people, often they refer to Ku as evil, as the god of war. All of a sudden, Kane is that all-being, healthy person, good akua. You get Kanaloa, a sidekick, but that's the devil for some reason. You get Ku, the god of war. You get Lono, the god of peace, basically. That's people saying. But all of these akua have all the traits that all of us as human beings have. They're key. A reflection. We're a reflection of them, and they're a reflection of us. So ku, like Kane, Kanaloa, and Lono, you have the healing aspects of them. Because we as human beings are healers. We do things, we help people out. When, in times of crisis, we come to people's aid. That's who we are. But there is a time when you have to go to war. Being a man, you have to go to war sometimes. Protecting the ohana. You may go to war just with your neighbor to protect your aina and your family. But there's a provider side, right? That's cool. That's all the akua. They are a reflection of who we are as human beings. Some are emphasized for different things and for different time periods. But the missionaries came and changed all that. And all of a sudden, we lost our role models. Because if you look at what Nākānelua was saying about the different manifestations of ku, these are ways of being in the world. These are things that we should look at as ways to behave during certain times, right? That ku the healer, ku that makes the world happen, that moves the ground under beneath them, the productive ku. If you look at the Hawaiian world, at least up until the time that Cook arrived, I guess, between maybe 1500s to the time Cook arrived, the Hawaiian world basically are broken up into two parts in 1 year, right? You have the time of Lono and the time of Ku. Lono is the respect to the aina. It's the productivity of the aina, the things that come from the aina for kanaka. When you honor Ku, you're honoring things that the kanaka does. What we as human beings contribute to the world. We honor the aina for its productivity. We work the land feeds us as the elder sibling. And then the time of Ku is a time to build. It's a time for war, a time for politics. It's a time for kanaka activity. But things happen, change, and we're here today. So what's the relevance for today? You know, I'll tell you a story. What's the relevance for today? I think for me, it was a moving story because when the Ku images came back at Bishop Museum, and we had the Ku Kalepa, actually, you were with me, bro, I think. We went down because I was driving. I was coming back from Maui from work, and I was tired. It was late afternoon. I was hungry. I wanted to go eat. But something pulled me to get off the road and go check on Ku. You know, because we brought them back. I felt a sense of responsibility. So I got off the road. Brother was there, Kapuiki. So we went in together to I don't know if you remember this. We went in. There was a security guard. Oh, no, sorry. He wasn't a security guard. He was a landscaper or landkeeper, whatever you call it, maintenance guy. Hawaiian brother, was in prison for most of his adult life. So he's watching on the side as him and I just looking, talking, you know, we're doing our thing. And he came over, he said, hey, came up to me, he goes, hey, you one of the guys that brought these guys back, yeah? Oh, yeah, mahalo, bro, mahalo. And he told me the story about how, you know, if I knew these guys when I was younger, I wouldn't have gone to prison. Boom, it hit me. It hit me the significance of our kupuna, the role modeling, and the power they have for change, positive change, change that we control. Here's an individual that felt that if I understood these things, the things that we were saying, because he was there when we did the opening. He was there to hear the talks about Ku, about what we were saying about, and so for him it was, geez, if I had this kind of deities to look up to follow, I wouldn't have gone to prison. That's what it means for many of us to now practice Moʻoku. Christianity is a Western religion. If you're Christian, sorry, no offense, I'm baptized Protestant. My mom scolds me every day about it, that I don't pray every day to that akua. But the reality is, we as human beings need something that fits our aspirations and worldviews. Christianity was designed for a particular group, for their aspirations, for their values, for what they want in the world. And that's maikai, and there's a place for it. But there is something out there for us that maybe meets our aspirations and more in line with what we value. And it can still be something that moves, you know, the world is a globe, becoming a smaller community. We're modernizing. You know, the idea that people fear that we're going to go back to living in grass shacks, wearing malos every day. Obviously, we're not, by the way we're dressed and the jobs we do. This is the most cultural man I know. His son going to college, getting a degree in anthropology. We can be who we can be in this modern world. We can actually dominate the world. Talk about green energy and all these things. Green energy in a different way, a kupuna way. Other things that Westerners told us was no good, was ignorant, banned from our society. Science is now showing that those were things that perhaps what kept us healthy. We divided health. We divided the mental and the physical. We divided the spirituality. Right? Descartes did that for us. And we suffer for it today. It took all these years for scientists to finally say, oh, wait, they are all interrelated. Yeah? You stress, you get sick. You get sick, you get stressed. You have depression, you get physical. You have diabetes, right? Prevalent in the Hawaiian society. We always say the risk factor is obesity. It is a risk factor. Stress is also a risk factor. People with depression are 3 times more likely to get diabetes. We're learning these things. But these are things that our kupuna knew. These are things that are in our mo'olelo about well-being and health. When someone found out our department was co-sponsoring this, I'll be talking here, was a wahine. She said, why is there no talks about health, the diabetes, the cardiovascular disease, the obesity? I said, why? Because here's our health conference. I said, yeah, a health conference, not a medical conference. So it is about, all the things we're doing here is about developing a healthy, well society so we don't have to have disease. Our kupuna was disease-free. The disease we suffer from are chronic diseases of lifestyle. Westerners are also, Americans, I don't want to include all Westerners. Americans, I always say this, when I do talks in the US, I say being American is bad for your health, even for whites in America. Because white Americans die younger, are fatter than whites in Europe. There's a cultural difference, and it's not genetics. If it was, then they should be just as better off as their counterparts in Europe. They're not. They're better in the US because they're still in the hierarchy, right? They have the best health. Their values, their aspirations are promoted. So therefore, they have the best health within the society. But on average, if you look at globally, they're also dying up. There's something about the Protestant work ethics, work till you die, is killing. And we've adopted that. You know? So I guess my purpose is to talk to the relevance for today and why is it important. We all need something to believe in, to aspire to. We need role models bigger than us. And so that to me, that's why this kind of stuff is important. But I'll turn it back to Nākānelua.
So as you can see, what we're doing here on this panel is priest-like. Because, okay, Catholics in the house. Okay, three of us. Those who were Catholics then. I know some of you born-again heathens out there. Okay, oh, more hands went up. Okay, that count to, you're still Catholic, by the way. So, when you hear the word priest, what does a Catholic priest do? What does an Anglican priest do? What is the priest's main concern in any church? Answer. Not make money. What is the what?
I'm actually entering seminary. It's offer the world to God.
Okay, offer the world to God. Bring it back home to the Kanaka. What is the priest's main concern within his church, within his community? What? oh my God, just the main thing that a priest is supposed to be responsible for is the people. He's supposed to care for the people, for their health and for their wealth. Not necessarily their finances, but for the wealth of their being, their kino and their kino wairua. That's what we've been trying to profess to all of you, is that we are here to promote for your health, your body, through ku, ialua, exercising through these disciplines of martial nature, to ku, taking care of the land and growing the food for feed the body, ku of your wairua, taking care of your intellect, because when we get it through here, yeah, we get it here in the seed of our emotion. And when that emotion and that intellect come together, when the two become one, there is the Akua, the God within us. These are professions of a priest. And it's not by our exclamating for ourselves. When we were in LA, yes? We were in LA.
First stop was Boston.
Yeah. Yeah, when we were in LA, we went through a line. There's this long line, you know, TSA lines, yeah? Going up and down, all around, up the escalator. We came to this one point, and a black woman looked at us, and particularly at me, and said, "Oh, are you a warrior?" I said, "No, we priests." "Oh, then by all means, come this way, to the front of the line." Okay? That's real. So even they saw us in a different light when the proper perspective was presented to them. Yeah. So that, I think, is important. So here we are, professing to you folks, to try and inspire you folks to carry these traits, to move these things forward, to look into other mo'os. Look into that mo'okala, that mo'okala au, that mo'okanea, mo'okua, mo'orono o mo'otangarua. Eia no.
What's done is done. Turn your back on me. Talk about the golden road of opportunity. But the time has come to change the dream. We have tried and lost. Time has come